What up guys, Rowland here. Real quick, wanted to talk about this particular breakdown that I'm seeing on different occasions from analysis clients, and also had somebody hop in an IG live and we talked about this breakdown. So aside from what I talk about a lot, I've done a lot of context on this, authentic versus unauthentic stability, right? So basically, like when someone has a drastically higher power output number from a long toss throw or a pull down throw comparative to their mound throw. Because authentic and versus unauthentic stability, obviously when you're doing a pull down, a run and gun, or a long toss, you're slamming that foot down, slamming that leg down, which provides an external sense of that drive leg stability. That cleans up a lot better ability to produce force into the ground and store energy on time within when the hand comes up. Basically just optimal timing of the kinetic transfer, right? So then you fast forward to the mound and they don't have that authentic stability, that ownership of that stability. So then you see the drive leg kind of just collapse. So kind of want to piggyback off that. We're not going to necessarily talk about the unauthentic versus authentic just because I've done a ton of context on that. So if you're somebody that want more information on that, be sure to check it out. It's all over my YouTube channel and website. But this particular breakdown is how we can essentially help aid our drive leg and to stabilize, absorb, produce, and store energy with our drive leg by a couple different factors. First is the angling of your trunk, the posture of your trunk. Just did a video on Bueller, Bieber, Blake Snell, Trevor Bauer, all guys who, as they descend from their leg lift, although produce a little bit of forward momentum, as they descend and enter their drive phase, you can see the angle and the posture of the trunk tilt over this rear hip to help load up the drive leg. Basically, you get a little bit more required stability once you can tilt your energy back. Now, don't get this mistaken with like a drastic hip coil to defy forward momentum and forward gravity. There's a fine line, there's a gray area there in between. It's a very subtle move. It's just boom, load it, help aid in that storing mechanism, and now we go. You see this happen naturally with a lot of individuals when they just long toss, right? So in order to long toss, you're obviously throwing it high, far, and as much power output as you can. So what you'll see is they run, boom, slam, and then they go, and then their trunk naturally tilts a little bit, tilts, counter rotates over that rear hip, helps load it, and then they go to express that power output, right? So find out what works for you in terms of the posture of your trunk. If you're just a tilt guy like this, Bauer, Bueller tilt guys, whereas like a Bieber who would be more tilt with counter rotation just because of his glove side angle, he's more out like this way. Okay, so that's one. Second thing is, I talked about this last week, allow your drive leg to determine and dictate your acceleration rate with your body throughout your drive phase. Don't force the lead leg to dictate your acceleration, right? Drive leg is gas pedal, lead leg is brake pedal, right? That's their responsibilities. So with guys who try to accelerate their body with their lead leg and essentially shoot this out, it's gonna just naturally pull the drive leg into internal rotation early, or the rear hip into rotation early. So this transfer of energy that we have here is going earlier than when we see that long toss throw variation, when they stick and they store, they move, and then transfer. There's a little delay mechanism within that throw variation compared to the mound when it just starts to go early because the lead leg is dictating our acceleration. So we don't want the lead leg to accelerate. All right, our acceleration rate is determined by our drive leg. So with guys, going back to the couple examples, is you'll see on a mound, when guys descend from leg lift, this foot will actually shoot out more towards home plate, comparative to like when a long toss or a shuffle throw or a run and gun. Think about the posture and the angles of their feet, right? You stick behind, and then you have this lead foot in line with the drive foot, and that's going to be a naturally occurring movement that helps the drive leg accelerate the body and not the lead leg, because their starting points are similar. All right, so not saying it's an absolute, but it's another tool that we can look at in order to determine where our drive leg breakdowns are occurring. So a couple simple progressions that we can do. For one, the trunk tilt, we're trying to create this pendulum effect with this rhythm of descend, tilt. And again, it's not a super drastic hip coil and then hold the hip coil for as long as we can. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that defies a lot of our acceleration, but it's as simple as descend, tilt, 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 right? So you can even go hands apart, leg lift, and as soon as this foot goes down, that's our mechanism to tilt, counter rotate. All right. And again, I know it's tricky because I talk a lot about how the angle of the trunk can dictate our acceleration. But when it comes to effectively loading the drive leg, and the obvious part of all of this is seeing the drastic breakdown from your power output in the long toss, pull down, run and gun comparative to the mound, we have the absolutes, right? We have the answer as far as where there's a breakdown, right? You compare those videos and this is a commonality that you'll see. So again, just trying to create like a pendulum act within a movement that we can train in a drill progression where we pause at the peak of our leg lift, and as soon as we descend, our trunk tilts and counter rotates over that rear hip. And then we can blend that simple drive rep into a throw. Okay, something simple like that. Don't have to be over complex with it. You just want to train that movement. Second thing with the lead foot, remember we want our drive leg to dictate our acceleration. So something you can do, start your lead foot, close it, lead with the heel of this lead foot, separate your hands if you need. Now we're going to go from here, this point, into our throw, and we allow our drive leg to dictate the acceleration. So minimal emphasis on our lead leg, lot of emphasis on our drive leg. So you'll feel like almost a corkscrew mechanism with your pelvis. Boom, lead with the heel. Now our acceleration is from our drive leg. And it's not about accelerating extremely fast, it's about doing a progression like that or make something up on your own and having a sense of what you're feeling, what that feedback is. So when I do this one, I just feel that everything is occurring because I'm loading up my right butt cheek and my hip. And I'm essentially sticking into internal rotation, and then I'm holding external rotation. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, we obviously don't want to guess in terms of why certain things are breaking down within our delivery, and taking video is a great tool to use when we can look at the difference between a high power output throw that we might possess versus the mound throw when our mechanics are breaking down. So hopefully you got something from that.